Once again on the road today, it is Rutherford Issues, the Smyrna edition, and we are joining you from a very special place today, one of the iconic areas here in Smyrna, and that is the Sam Davis home. And while we're here in Smyrna, always joined by County Commissioner Mike Sparks, representing the great folks in the Smyrna area. Mike, how are you?
Hey, doing good, Brian.
Well, I can't complain about the weather. Nice and sunny.
And cold.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, we just walked over, looked at Sam Davis home, and I didn't have a jacket on, and neither did she, and I know both of us were cold out there.
Well, it is a little chilly, about 29 degrees to be exact, and the wind chill is about 20 today. And the temperature, let me give you a little bit of the forecast here. Low of 13 tonight, and the outlying areas could see some single digits. Clouds tomorrow, 37. Chance of snow and sleet tomorrow night, about a 30% chance, and some applause everywhere for that. Well, I'm not sure. It's on the weekend.
I want some snow, don't you?
Well, the kids always say that's a wasted snow. If it's not going to snow during the week, it's a wasted snow.
Well, it looked to me like it was snowing earlier today a little bit.
It did a little bit, and about 60 for Monday when you go back to work. So.
Oh wow.
Yep. Roller coaster ride. Well, we have several different things going on here today, Mike, and why don't you kind of outline what we have planned for today's show?
Well, as you know, we try to cover a lot of topics that's Smyrna related, and we've tried to make our rounds around Smyrna here. And today we're at Sam Davis home, and we have also with us Senator Jim Tracy, who's going to come on the air with us in a few minutes. And the Sam Davis home, this is kind of like hallowed ground here in Smyrna and Rutherford County. A lot of history here. Just a beautiful facility, and this is a place kind of holds dear to my heart, being born and raised right here. Just off the air, we were a kid. I know some of these non-profit, what do you call it, kids on free reduced lunches that sometimes can't afford field trips. I was just a kid in the land here with the Daily News Journal about when I was a kid. I sat my tail in class the whole day while Miss Barnacle's class went to Sam Davis home, so I'm still probably still hadn't got over it, I guess. So, my heart goes out to some of those kids that sometimes don't have the money to do those things.
Now, was it a museum then, or were they still using it
as
as a plantation?
They would just take the school buses, do the little. Oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. That takes me a little bit to catch up with that. But and I'll tell you another little story about Sam Davis home here, and I shared this, I know, with you. When we were kids, I think me and some other guys, about 13, we took a raft down this creek right here, and we got caught in those rapids right there, the dam.
Really?
Yeah, and it was almost a little miracle. We were trapped in that thing. We were fixing to jump off the little raft, and I looked over, and there was a man standing there. I guess he worked here, and it was about 10 or 12 foot stick, and pulled us in. And I remember as a kid, I was like 13, and I remember thinking, that was a miracle right there. I mean, what's the odds of a guy standing there with a 12-foot stick that pulled us in? And about 6 months later, one of the boys that was with me, his friend drowned out here at Percy Priest, and they were out there on a canoe. But anyways, I'm just glad to be able to have Sam Davis host this and talk about some of the good things that's going on out here.
Well, that's what we're going to do first, and Senator Tracy is looking over some papers, and he's looking over some hard questions. He knows that you've got a lot on your plate there, Mike.
Yeah.
I want to kind of, he's going to put some on your plate too. We've already talked about that. But first of all, we want to talk about the Sam Davis home and find out more about it. And Anita, why don't you just introduce yourself and title and Meredith and introduce her and things of that nature.
Well, I am Anita Teague, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Sam Davis home, and have been here for almost a year now. And Meredith Lane is our Office and Event Coordinator. She's been here for just a little bit over a year, and we have a wonderful staff and a wonderful board of directors. We're very blessed. I know a lot of people who work in the nonprofit business and with a lot of different organizations, and sometimes they struggle with their boards, and we are just extremely blessed here to have a very active and involved and caring board of directors, and very supportive, and then a great volunteer base and demonstrator base. And so I think that with all of that pulled together, it makes the Sam Davis home a wonderful place, a wonderful area to come and visit, and we have the ability with all our volunteers to get all wonderful extremely exciting events this past year, and we're looking forward to 2008.
Well, we were able to come out and enjoy one of those, and that was the barbecue. And forgive me if I ever try to say the name of it again. If it's not written down, I'll forget. But that has proven to be something very fruitful, I guess, for the Sam Davis home in general, to keep things running.
Yes, this year will be the 5th annual Tennessee Heritage Barbecue Festival here at the Sam Davis home.
I know you would have it. I knew you would have it down.
Yes, and we are looking each year to do bigger and better things, and increasing our competitors as well as the festival aspect. So, and of course that's Father's Day weekend again this year, so that'll be June 13th, 14th, and 15th in 2008.
Well, we had a big time, and you know, it is a carnival-like atmosphere. I mean, you know, you've got all the booths and all the food you want to try, and many of the barbecue vendors are here, and the Sam Davis home is open during that time too.
Yes, it's actually a great event, not just to come and spend with your dad and see and smell all the barbecue, but and see all the intricacies that the competitors put in at Kansas City Barbecue Sanctioned event. But our house is open for tours, and you're able to go through, and we have demonstrators here. We have someone who is, you know, who plays the part of Sam Davis walking around and telling stories. We have different cavalry units here. Hopefully this year we'll have some people on horseback, and we have different organizations from the Smyrna area out here to support. This year we're really hoping to have or kick off a new idea and having a father-child talent show to showcase for Father's Day weekend. So we're really getting ready to start pushing that.
Mike, you need to get your tap shoes out.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
For the talent show.
Spit my gum out.
Well, I lived in Smyrna. Actually, was just a stone's throw away from the Sam Davis home. I remember, as you know, Mike mentioned, this was often a big destination for field trips and for kids and the history. But can anyone just show up and take a tour, or how do they do that? How do you know? How do you plan for people?
Well, we are always ready to have visitors, whether they are groups or just one person. And we're open the majority of the days out of the year. You know, we're closed Christmas and New Year's, but there are several. All the other days we're open, and so our hours are posted right outside. We keep, you know, shorter hours during the winter. We close at 4 instead of 5, just because of daylight savings time usually. But anybody can come in for a tour. It's $6.50 for adults and or $6.50 for seniors and $8.50 for adults, and children have their rates. And then we have group rates for 15 or more people, and we have group rates for homeschoolers. Homeschool around here has gotten to be such a huge organization, and so we have a lot of homeschool groups that are getting together and bringing, you know, several groups out here at a time to do field trips. And it's not, the field trips aren't just in the tours through the house. We actually do enrichment programs that help them learn about life during the Civil War period, or about Civil War soldier life, about growing cotton, you know, in Middle Tennessee during this time period and what all it took. And so it's really exciting, and those can be booked at any time during the year. And but then we have our large event days, such as Days on the Farm and Heritage Days, which we really get excited about and spend a lot of time planning.
Sure, I bet you do. We were talking with Anita Teague here at the Sam Davis home. One thing that captured my eye right away when I drove up, and when I was here for the barbecue festival this summer, didn't get the chance to come over to the museum, but that is just a pearl here at the Sam Davis home, isn't it?
Yes, we're delighted. It opened in November of 2003, and we've just seen numerous people that have come, and they haven't been for a decade or so, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I didn't realize that this had been added, and they get really excited, and they have to go home and tell all of their friends, oh, they've added something new, and we're able to showcase a very great collection here at the Sam Davis home from Civil War period antiquities and memorabilia, and so that's really exciting to further on the entire story, not just of Sam Davis, but of the Civil War period.
Now, I noticed a room on the end, and what kinds of things do you do with the new addition, the museum, and all?
Well, let's say you were to come here for a tour. We would start you off in the Visitor Center, which is the new museum, and the museum is self-guided. And so we take you in there and we start you off with the Sam Davis Home movie. And you sit in a beautiful theater and with very comfortable theater seats, and it tells you the story of Sam Davis. And then you're able to walk around through the museum at your own pace. So you can spend a lot of time if you really want to study the different weapons or sabers or clothing or the carrots that Oscar Davis had. And then we have an in-scale model that shows how the farm would have looked when the Davises lived here. And then we moved through an award-winning exhibit that we accepted an award from the Tennessee Association of Museums this past spring on African American life at the Davis Plantation from the 1860s to the early 1900s. Or MTSU students worked on that. And so that further along tells the entire story, interprets the entire story here on the Sam Davis Plantation. And then after that, we gather you up in your group, and we would take you through our grounds and walk you up to the house, and then give you a tour of the house.
So one person can come do all of that, or in groups, right?
Correct. Yes.
When you're open, you're open.
Yes, and sometimes people are actually lucky enough to come here when we have a traveling exhibit. We actually just hosted the Hoofbeats exhibit, which was Hoofbeats in the Heartland. It was cavalry during the Civil War in the state of Tennessee, and that was done by the Tennessee State Museum. And it was here, and we were very lucky to get Sam's boot out of conservation from the Tennessee State Museum and bring it home.
Is that right?
Yes. So we were able to host that, and it actually just left. I'll be traveling throughout the state of Tennessee, different areas. So you never know if there's going to be a traveling exhibit here when you show up.
Well, there's something for everyone, and it's just a really neat place to come and to visit and to hear a lot about the history. Anita, I want to let you introduce Meredith. I think the two of you work pretty close together, I guess, don't you?
Yes, yes. This wonderful young woman beside me is Meredith Lane. She is my office and event coordinator here at the Sam Davis Home. She coordinates a lot of the events I've been talking about. We work together here at the Sam Davis Home as a staff team, and really have the team approach at pulling off large events. And she actually would love to talk about what you can get, not just by coming here for tours, but that our site is available to be rented for wonderful events.
Yes, thank you for having me on today.
Well, thank you for letting us use your office. We're broadcasting live from the Sam Davis Home today, and Meredith, the grounds here, just the setting, it kind of takes you back, and I think that's what people like about it. And you can actually host large groups and different types of events too.
It's very true. You can host a lot of things out there. Anything from a business meeting to a large wedding or a high school event, whether it be a reunion or an upcoming dance. There are a lot of different opportunities out here. The wonderful thing is because we have over 160 acres, there's traffic driving by, but you don't know it. You can't see the cars,
right.
You can't hear the cars, so you really are taken out of the city. We have some great events out here, corporate events, as well as just individual people coming out here. The Mini Pearl Ball has come out here for numerous years, and they just transform this land. I mean, they go as far as having part of their event, their main section, out in our parking lot, and you would never know it. But it's just incredible how you can transform this whole area. And our event packages can range anywhere from $40 all the way up to around $850. So we have some great options for people on very reasonable prices, which we're very proud of.
Well, all the way up to $850 for some of these large events. That sounds like a bargain to me.
It is. That's mostly for the wedding packages, and it's just, I mean, as for the smaller, just small parties, you can get away with a very cheap budget here. I mean, it's great because you don't want to break an arm and a leg and
Sure.
really spend all you have just trying to find a location.
Now, I bet people like to do, you know, maybe a costume theme or whatever.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of that?
We've had a few of those. We have had a Dixie dinner actually out here before, where we've had numerous guests come out in antebellum clothing, and they get really excited about that, have the sort of meals that would be appropriate for the time period, you know, not your typical burger and fry cookout.
Right.
So that is, it's very exciting. People have a great time coming out here, and they just like to come up and dress up for a day sometimes too. Which is really nice. We've had a lot of volunteers come out here just to do that as well.
And so you're pretty much the one that plans and talks to people about those events and books those and all?
Yes, that is correct. I do book all the special events for people who have theirs out here, as well as, for the most part, all of the ones that we host. We actually hosted a couple of different ones in October last year for ghost tours, in the sense of dressing up. That also just kind of reminded me about that. We had some great things going on out there. We had hay rides, haunted hay rides in our fields, and then it went into the house for a candlelit tour at night with all of the volunteers and staff dressed up in period clothing. Really, I'll be honest, I put the layout down and collected all the stories, because these were not made up. These were collected stories from all staff members and volunteers who have been here over the years. And I went through it on the first night, just after working about an hour. I wanted to see how it was, and I was unnerved. I mean, I knew what was going to happen with all these stories, but still, it was a real fun evening.
We were sharing, actually, before we went on the air, some stories about what people have seen here. Does it make one a believer and not a skeptic?
I would think so. I've had a few things that happened to me, and I've had no problem leaving the building with just as quickly as I can. You know, I'll come back tomorrow and deal with my nerves then, but I'm going at that point. And I'm not the only one. There have been numerous other people who have certain things that they just cannot explain.
Sure. Well, at least you're out of here before the sun goes down.
Not always.
Not always.
Especially when those big events are around.
I guess that's true. I'll address this to either one of you here as we wrap up our first segment here from the Sam Davis home. If someone is interested in becoming maybe not necessarily a board member, but get involved with the preservation of the Sam Davis home, because as we've talked, it takes funds, it takes people who care, and you're going to have to pass this on from one generation to the other at some point. So how does someone become involved?
Well, they could just contact us. Just call 459-2341, and anybody can put you, talk to you about the information about becoming a member. Becoming a member of the Sam Davis Memorial Association does not necessarily mean becoming a board member. It just means exactly what you said. Participating in the preservation of the site. And you can do that by as small amount as $25 a year. And you can go up to larger. There are different levels of membership that you can have. And even if you are not going to make that donation, we always accept donations, even if from the smallest amount that some of the kids leave when, you know, the donation jar at the visitor center.
Well, that's great, and even state senators sometimes bring you grant money too,
yes,
right?
Thank you. Yes.
Well, congratulations on that, and with everything that's going on here at the Sam Davis home. Anita, Meredith, it's been a pleasure, and thanks for hosting us today.
Thank you so
for
much.
coming out.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, County Commissioner Mike Sparks rejoins us, and State Senator Jim Tracy will chime in here as well on the conversation. This is Rutherford Issues, the Smyrna edition, here on WGNS, AM, FM, TV, Internet, we're everywhere that you want to be. Smyrna, as we broadcast Rutherford Issues on the road today, live from the Sam Davis home. And a distant descendant of Sam Davis, Mike Sparks, is here, County Commissioner.
Very distant.
Very distant. You played in the same creek that he did.
Yeah, I did. Got something in common.
Oh man, let's ask a trivia question here. We've got a prize and a trivia question, so I'm going to let you take care of all of this.
Yeah. What we were going to do, they've agreed to hand out four passes for a tour of the Sam Davis home, and I guess first caller, 893-1450, wins. The question is, what is Sam Davis's famous last words before they hung the noose around his neck? And I mean, it's really kind of a moving quote, but what is Sam Davis's famous last words?
All right, 893-1450, 893-1450, and let's see, that's 4, so at 850, that'd be a pretty good value there, isn't it? So, that's great.
How much is
it? 893-1450. I don't know, you're the math man. You deal in cars all the time.
Yeah.
That's, what did you say, Meredith? I'm reading your lips.
$34.
$34. $34 value. See, I know how to get things done.
That's cool.
Speaking, yeah, isn't that the truth? Speaking of getting things done, a guy who has been hitting the road pretty hard here is State Senator Jim Tracy. We've got a phone call, first of all, though, so let's go to the phone. Let's get that answer from you. Caller, welcome in. Yes. Yeah, go ahead with your answer. No,
sir.
That's...
No.
No, that's not it. Appreciate the phone call, though. 893-1450. Give us a shout if you would, if you got the right answer. Well, they're getting close. There's some historical words there, but that's not it.
That wasn't even close, Brian.
Not even close. Well, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's go back to the phones. Welcome in. Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, all right.
You got it. Who are we talking to? All right, Floyd. Appreciate you calling in. Floyd Leonard is our winner, and we'll take those tickets back to the station. You can pick them up there, or had you rather pick them up here in Smyrna? All right, sounds good. Thanks, Floyd. All right, appreciate the call this afternoon. And there you go. Famous last words of Sam Davis himself. Are we going to hear any famous last words at the end of the session, Senator Tracy, this year?
I hope they're famous good words, Brian. It's good to see you. I usually see you at the ball game.
I know. It's good to see you out somewhere other than where they're bouncing balls or flying them through the air. But you keep busy these days. When I guess Jim Tracy sightings are few and far between here because you're always there in Nashville.
On the move. We're usually now during the session. We go in session on Mondays, and we're usually there through Thursdays. So I'm just got through this afternoon and heading back towards home. So we've had a good week this week. We were off actually Monday for Martin Luther King Day, and we squeezed quite a bit in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning. So we're off and running, moving fast on the session this time. We're one of the things I know people are concerned about, I guess, in the district, and I talk to a lot of people all the time, whether it be at ball games or meetings and so forth, is of course everybody's talking about the budget. And I know it's been publicized about there may be a shortfall in the budget, anywhere from $150 to $240 million shortfall. But the good thing about that is we prepared a little bit for this last year. With Tennessee being a sales tax state, we had surplus revenues last year, so we put additional $250+ million back in our rainy day fund. First time ever we've got this much money. So we were preparing. We met with many economists last year, those of us in the Senate did, and we met with them, and they said you need to be preparing for the future because the rule of thumb is about every 10 years we're going to have a little downturn in the economy, and it has slowed down somewhat. We are down a little bit. We will know more about the state's economy when all the state's franchise and excise taxes come in. That'll be in the next month or so.
Well, I know some things that the legislature did directly affected Rutherford County last year, not just Rutherford County, but all counties, when there was a little extra money given back to the counties for various things. That, I would say, might probably allow Rutherford County to keep the property tax rate the same. Is there any way to know whether money like that would be available? Because that obviously has a trickle-down effect to counties.
Well, on BE, you're thinking mostly of the BEP.
BEP, I guess, yeah.
And we were able to get some additional money to Rutherford County and really most of the counties in the state of Tennessee because we reworked our basic education program. And it's a funding mechanism that funds all our education K through 12 education in Tennessee, and it was able to give quite a bit of additional money to Rutherford County, and with the county commission helping them so forth with their budget. This year we did put $100 million back to help with the funding this year. So in other words, we put an additional $100 million back last year to go ahead and fully fund our BEP program. So I think we're going to be okay this year with our funding of our education program.
Are those people who were talking about last year's reduction in the food tax, are they coming back saying, yeah, this is another reason why we should have never done that?
Not yet. Everybody's okay. It wasn't but a half a cent. So, but first time in my lifetime I can ever remember we did reduce the sales tax in Tennessee, and which you know, I think state government is like any other business. You need to be very efficient with what you do. You don't want to be wasteful, and that's one of the things that we're going to be very efficient this year with the budget being a little bit tighter. We're going to have to maybe look at trimming some of the money out of the budget, or at least be very fiscal responsible, and I think we need to be that. Just like you run a business, you need to be the same way with state government.
Well, we have State Senator Jim Tracy joining us here on the air, and I think you're going to bring some cohorts with you tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah,
on the action line too, right?
Yeah, you're going to be there in the morning.
If I can help it, I won't be. I'll be listening though.
Well, I was wondering if you got up there. I didn't know.
Well, for many years I did, and I traveled to Nashville, and I made, I guess, a similar route, even though yours is a little longer, from Murfreesboro to Nashville every morning, and before the sun was up. So I enjoy my late evenings now. So.
Yeah, you got to get up early to beat the traffic on do it. I will see you maybe Friday night at the ball game.
There you go. Yeah.
Siegel Oakland game.
Lots of different things going on in the House and in the Senate. Virtually one thing that seems to keep coming up, and one thing I wanted to ask you about as well. You and Bill Ketron have signed on to legislation that was sponsored by, I guess, Donna Rowland in the House about the landfill, and there was a lot of talk about this at the county commission meeting last week as well. So maybe you can address that a bit.
Yeah, that is legislation to ban radioactive waste in the state of Tennessee, dumping radioactive waste in Tennessee. If that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
And the county commission, I think, voted like 20-1 in favor of the resolution, and that'll go through the process to see. There'll be quite a bit of discussion on that. So that's one of the issues. I wanted also to touch about 2 or 3 others, and then if folks listening want to call in, I'll be glad to take phone calls, and I know Mike may have some questions, but one of the things I wanted to discuss is big this year is going to be the lottery funds. There's been a lot of discussion, and Mike's looking at some notes over there, but there are a lot of discussion about lottery funds. One of the things, we have $425 million in excess lottery funds, and those excess lottery funds, I have a bill to use some of that money, which the county commission would be very excited about, to use some of that money to go towards capital projects for schools. And I think that's very important, and we're working on that. Hopefully we can work it out with the governor that we can get everybody on board on this. Not all the excess, but at least some of it, and it would be a grant program to all the counties, or all the school systems across the state. And so in Rutherford County school systems would get some of that money, and then Murfreesboro City schools, and it would be a matching grant where the local government would match it towards you know, building school buildings. Right now, excess lottery funds by the Constitution can be used for 3 things. Pre-K, we're putting money now in pre-K through this, and after school programs and capital projects. So that's something big, and we're also discussing about lottery scholarships. That's going to be a big thing.
Now the capital projects, let me make sure I understand this correctly. I'm a little foggy about from when we first had this lottery discussion. Aren't the pre-K and the capital projects, aren't they after all the scholarships are funded or something like that?
Yeah, excess. It's called excess. And the reason why we have so much excess now, we've had a lot of students that just, you know, they get the scholarship, and for some reason they don't keep their grades up, they can't maintain their scholarship, so they lose that. So that's why we have quite a bit. That's one of the reasons. We have over 420, somewhere between 410 and 425 excess lottery funds. So that's exactly right. You're very astute, Brian. You remember that. That's called excess, and they can be used for those things.
Well, I mean, I guess that says something about the lottery scholarship program too. Those who have the grades and are willing to succeed and do what they need to do to get this scholarship, there aren't many that are turned away, I would think. if they've got the grades and they meet the qualifications.
Exactly, exactly. And that's one of the things that's going to be discussed in depth this year is revamping that lottery scholarship, you know, whether GPA a little bit, open it up for non-traditional students. We have many students that may get out of high school that may think they don't want to go to college. They go out here and go to work.
Yeah.
And then decide all of a sudden, oh, this is not for me, I want to go back to school, and they can qualify for that, some of that lottery scholarship money. In the past, they have not been able to qualify for that. So these are some of the things that the legislature is going to look at, and it'll be a negotiating back and forth on those kind of issues. And I think we're very close to coming up with a program to sort of revamp our lottery scholarship program, hopefully offer it for more students, but still it's a scholarship. You still should earn the scholarship, and that's
You know, one thing which we've got Ian that helps us with a lot of IT and so forth. He's an ITT student, and he couldn't obtain any scholarship money from that. And it seems like it ought to be expanded a lot for kids who aren't academically inclined. Maybe they're better, you know, going to trade school or something. And to me, it just seems like it's very disenfranchising for a lot of youngsters like this young man right here. I mean, let's face it, he didn't come from a lot. He comes from a broken home, and his family doesn't have a lot of money. It just seems like it needs to be broader. Now, my son takes advantage of it, and I'm proud to say he's got a 4.0, and this is his first year in college.
he took after his mother, didn't he?
He sure did. Yeah, Brian's already kidding me about that. I hear it all the time. It doesn't bother me.
He's got a complex.
Yeah.
Brian and I, great minds think alike.
That's right.
Doesn't bother me. It's this Sam Davis home thing when I sit in the classroom, you know.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean,
I think it
will
will.
it be?
I think it will be expanded somewhat for what you're talking about. There will be some expansion. You got to be very careful. You don't want to do like some states have just opened it up too much, and then all of a sudden you don't have enough money coming in from the lottery to pay for the scholarships. So that's where we are. I think there will be some expansion of it. I think it's going to be something, and that's what we're for. We're for to offer students more opportunity for an education, and we do want the students that are dedicated, like you said, that want to do it. And so I think you're going to see some of those.
Well, it may be a motivator to keep some kids in school.
Absolutely.
Kids that aren't academically inclined. Instead of going out and learning Central Heat and Air, maybe they know, or going to Nashville Auto Diesel College or something, maybe they realize once I graduate, there's an incentive for me to go to a trade school.
Yeah, some of the technology centers, you know, we have a technology center in Murfreesboro, so those do qualify.
Yeah.
So we'll look at that. I think that's a good point, and it'll be discussed.
you know, and also I think we looked at when this lottery scholarship and the lottery overall was developed and talked about. We looked at Georgia, and when you mentioned about offering it up to everybody, Tennessee was just a little bit scared to do what Georgia did because they kept expanding it and opening it up, and then they got into just financial trouble.
Exactly, and we've gone back and looked. Looks like I'm going to be chairing a subcommittee in the Senate Education Committee that deals with just the excess lottery funds. And Senator Ketron is going to be on that committee, and he's also going to be on the committee of dealing with the lottery scholarship. So we're going to be looking at all these issues in the next month or so, Mike. So if you have any ideas, or anyone listening has any ideas, for sure, one thing we know that we don't have all the answers in Nashville, that's for sure. So that'll be some of the things. I do want to mention one more thing that has to do with Mike, you know, since we're talking about Mike.
It's all about Mike.
You know, I do have, they got a lot of publicity in the last week, is this texting while driving.
Sure.
I've got a bill sponsoring trying to,
Brian does that a lot.
yeah. Well, I'm just now learning how to text, so I'd have a hard enough time texting, much
And
less
driving too.
Yeah. But what it does do, it's a $50 fine for people that are caught texting while driving, because we know any distraction, and it's really geared at making it safer to drive. Now, you know, I know it's going to be hard to enforce, but it's already been passed in a couple of the states, and we're going to look at that. That's generated a lot of interest, because I hear every day of somebody upset because somebody's not paying attention when they're driving. It's not just texting, but we know that texting is very important. It's very similar to like the seatbelt law.
Sure.
It's hard to enforce that, but if you catch somebody out driving a seatbelt, it is a fine on that.
Well, let's expound on that just in a second, but we do have a caller online, so we want to welcome them in, and State Senator Jim Tracy is our guest today. Caller, what's on your mind? Go ahead.
you're exactly right. Community colleges are included now. If you qualify with a GPA and your ACT score, whatever that is, you do qualify. And we're working very closely now with the community colleges and our tech colleges or technology centers, really, the Tennessee Technology Centers. So those things are available. And the non-traditional student that you pointed out is someone that's older. That is going to be looked at because we think, or I do, my personal opinion is there's some of those students that are more dedicated that would be non-traditional than someone that comes right out of high school and qualifies for it. All of a sudden they get out in the workforce for a little while and say, look, this is really for me. I need to go back to school and get a, whether it be in heat and air to be a contractor or whatever, they're all of a sudden they're now dedicated. They're going to keep their grades up. So I think you're going to see a provision in there for the non-traditional students. Very good question.
Appreciate the phone call this afternoon, and we can squeeze in another one or two here before we let Senator Tracy get away today. Let's go back to the phone stand. Welcome in to Rutherford Issues this afternoon. Yes, sir, we're here, and we're ready to hear from you.
Thanks for calling, and you're exactly right. With the economy changing, it even makes it more important for the non-traditional students. So that's something I think you're going to hear a lot about in the next coming weeks.
Senator, I want to go back to your distracted driving bill, and it was this past summer that I guess maybe it hit home to me how dangerous it is when we lost a young person that there's no sense in naming names, but I think we all here know it's happened maybe in our families. Distracted driving. This time it happened to be texting while driving. It's just dangerous. I mean,
it is dangerous, and I hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not just young people, but it is. I guess it would be geared more to the teenage drivers, but because that generation does more texting than anybody. I've got a 16-year-old son, and he texts all the time. That's his normal communication.
Does he have imprints on the end of his thumb?
I don't know how
they do it either.
They're doing it. So, and you know, so that is important. Another issue you might want to touch on, and I'll be glad to come back any other time. Illegal immigration or immigration issues is a big topic we hear about every day. In my district, you know, we just had that arrest in Rutherford County this week where they were doing
the fake IDs?
Fake IDs. And
made national news, by the way.
Made national news, and actually Commissioner Mitchell, the Commissioner of Department of Safety, was in my committee yesterday, and we talked about that very issue. They're doing a lot of investigation on that. So it's a very hot topic, illegal immigration. We've got several bills in the legislature this year to deal with illegal immigration. It is a federal issue, a large part. There's a lot of laws in place. If they are enforced, it will do it. But we've got some things. We've got some other legislation we're going to look at. So that's going to be a big issue coming up in this session also.
All right, we'll wrap up the show here in just a second, but right now we want to get the latest business news. We won't be with you for Homeward Bound this afternoon from 5 to 6 because we have Lady Raider and Raider double headers there at Louisiana Monroe this evening. So right now we're going to step away and get the latest in business news. And joining us from Edward Jones out on South Rutherford Boulevard is Lee Colvin, financial advisor Lee Colvin. And give us some good news about the old markets today, Lee. Hey, we can't complain. We're both on location today. How about that? Yeah, you always have a good time with Jim here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a new facility.
Yeah. Is it open?
It's not open yet, but we're doing a tour.
I run by there.
If you want to just pop in at 4:30.
Yeah.
County mayor will be there, and our property manager.
Y'all got a meeting tonight?
Yeah, we'll be meeting at
And
6.
nobody called about the Bible theme park.
I figured it would.
I was geared up.
Bible Park.
Nobody called?
They didn't. I talked about it for about 15 minutes the other day, and they didn't say a word.
Well, maybe we went on about the radioactive stuff. And
You can remind them too, we will be on there in the morning. That's between, 8, 10, and 9.
You said the tour tomorrow is at 4:30?
Today.
Oh,
I told them, Turner called me.
Lee, thanks so very much. All right, man, you too. Appreciate Lee Colvin joining us for the latest in business news. We'll be right back to wrap up Rutherford Issues.